Hey fiber friends, welcome to the Free Knit 6 channel. My name is Allison and I'm coming to you from El Paso, Texas, where I live with my husband Jonathan, my two sons Levi and Oliver, and our Boston Terrier Lucy. If you are new to the channel, you are watching a podcast that's centered around knitting, crocheting, a little bit of sewing, and cross stitch, and any other craft that happens to catch my fancy, but that's pretty much it, just those four things. If you're new, like and subscribe if you like what you see, and welcome. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back and watching me yet again. It's been about 2 weeks. Today is Friday, May the 11th, and I am trying to get this done before I have to head out to the VA baby shower that I am attending today for the Carrying On project. I'm wearing my shirt. I'm a representative for the organization, nonprofit, that provides baby carriers to military families all across the nation. There's lots of chapters at most military installations that I know of, and I'm the rep here for El Paso, so I'm gonna go distribute slings, ring slings, to new moms, moms to be at the baby shower today at 11. So, whew. If you want to find me on social media, you can find me as ForKnitSakes on Instagram and Ravelry. And if you'd like to join the podcast group on Ravelry, you can either click on the description link down below, or you can go to the groups tab on Ravelry and search for ForKnitSakes podcast. That's where you'll find all the show notes, any chatter threads, and any knit-alongs that are going on. And the only knit-along that we have going right now is the Stash Busting Knit-along, and I will put the hashtag you can use on social media if you choose to do so. The point of the knit along is to knit from your stash. The only rule is your finished object has to be at least 50 grams. So a pair of socks is 50 grams, usually an adult hat is 50 grams, and your project has to come from old stash. It can't be something that you bought new yarn for. So that's going until July the 1st, and we had a beautiful skein of yarn donated by Carrie from the Creative Obsession, and I have to reach down and grab this. Ugh, sorry, excuse me. I found a beautiful fabric at Joann the other day in the remnant bin. It's so pretty galaxy kind of fabric, and it's very glittery, and don't worry, I washed it already and the glitter does not come off. It did when I first bought it. It shed like crazy, and now it's perfect. So I'm going to do a little over the arm bucket bag. I don't think I have an example of one up here, and I sent my other one to Carrie. But I'm gonna make that bag hopefully within the next couple weeks. And the skein from Carrie is on my Instagram with the fabric in the photo if you would like to see them together. I figured it worked out perfectly because the yarn that Carrie donated is, or the colorway is called Stardust. So what more perfect fabric than some galaxy fabric to go with it. So I'll get that sewn up way before July the 1st. Hopefully by the next time I see you guys. I just need that chunk of time to get some sewing and trace my pattern out and everything like that. 1 second. I am downing coffee this morning and I'm already sweating. It was 74 degrees when we woke up, and it's supposed to be 98 today. So we'll see how hot it gets. Another reason why I have to film really early in the day is because since I'm in an open space, the air conditioning is very loud. The return vent is, it would definitely take over the recording. So I'm gonna have to try to figure something out for the summer. Otherwise I might have to take a break. I don't know. But I think that's all the important stuff for the introduction, so we can jump right in. I'm going to try to keep this fairly simple this week. I do have a couple finished objects, a bunch of works in progress, and a lot of stash enhancement. I know I wasn't supposed to buy yarn from January until July, and I totally broke that rule this year. And I'll tell you why later when I show you what I've gotten. So we're gonna do our 300 writing prompts, and unfortunately I closed the book without putting a bookmark. But I remember the question, it's what series of books have you read that you wish would continue after you finished reading them? And the one thing that comes to mind for me is Harry Potter, and I know maybe a lot of people feel the same way. Like, I would love to see some more come out to see what would happen with the characters later on, but 7 books is quite a lot. But I think it would just be really interesting. I haven't read any of the other books that she came out with after the series, just the Harry Potter series came out, because I didn't like the format that they were written in, like play format with the characters and the lines and everything. So that I'm a little sad about, but I might eventually read them. I also haven't seen the movies either. So like Fantastic Beasts, I haven't read any of those either, or read or seen the movie. But do you have a series that you wish would continue? Twilight, maybe? I really liked it about a decade ago, and I flew through the books like within a week or two, but I don't know if I would want more of it. Speaking of that, I do have to announce the winner for the 70s tea giveaway. There were 5 comments last week or last 2 weeks when I last filmed. I am a mess today, you guys. There were 5 comments on the video when I last filmed, and I did just a random name generator instead of random number generator, and the name that came up is my friend Lauren, who is Wool Pickle, and I talk to her a lot. She's kind of like my fiber friend that lives somewhat far away. She lives up in Colorado. So, but Lauren, you won. I will send a message to Janine, and she should get that pattern in your inbox soon. So, congratulations. Okay, I have some finished objects. I have 3, and one of them is my Zweig sweater. I was almost finished with this, I think, last time when I podcasted. So, and now it's done. Hooray! I did omit the cabled pattern in the body of the sweater, and I did mention that last time. The 2 yarns that I used were, the dark purple is Hawthorn from Knit Picks in the colorway Goddess, and the light purple with like the green and orange speckles in it is from Carrie of the Creative Obsession, which I am obsessed with a lot of her stuff, so she is aptly named. And it is a one-of-a-kind skein that was in her shop that I requested when we did get your yarn wishes granted. I did make a couple modifications. I did have to go down a needle size and a bust size. I've talked a lot about this on the channel before, so if you have questions about gauging and sizing and stuff like that, I'm getting more scientific about it. I get really interested in it. I did a slightly longer hem at the bottom, maybe like by a 1/2 inch, and I did not do the large cuff on the sleeves. So I only did, that's maybe like 3 inches. I can't get a good picture of it, and it's really dark. Maybe if I do that. There you go. You can kind of see it a little better. Other than that, just the cables, different needle size, everything else is pretty much the same. I do wish I had knit the body a smidge longer, but that's just my personal preference. I know some people like shorter tops. I don't. I like mine to kind of hit on the hip or past the hip, but that's just my personal preference on how I like the length of my garment. So I'm not going to necessarily rip out the bind off and knit an extra like half inch to an inch unless it really bothers me next season. Now I did have a whole extra skein of the Hawthorn left, plus maybe like 20 grams of another skein, so I ordered 3, so I only used almost 3 whole skeins for the body. And I did the 40-inch bust size on a size 4 needle. So if you can kind of guesstimate. But I also didn't do the cables. The cables kind of suck up a lot of extra yardage when you're knitting. So that probably also had something to do with it. But it's done! But I can't wear it probably until November now. Pretty much anything I'm going to be making from now all throughout the summer, I won't be wearing until next season. Next finished object are my sport weight socks. Grab one of my sock flickers to put one of them on. These are my on-the-go, just kind of toss in my purse sort of project with some leftover Lana Grossa self-patterning yarn. I had 50 grams left, so I did not have quite enough to do the entire sock. So I did have to do the heel and the cuff in, it's a Knit Picks Galileo, I think. It's a sport weight bamboo something blend. It's on my project page. You can look it up there. I did these on size 2 needles with 48 total stitches. I did a twisted rib on the cuff. I just like how tight, like how much it kind of sucks in the stitches. And did Judy's Magic cast on here. All the specific notes are on the project page. I won't bore you guys, or if you have questions, you're more than welcome to put them in the comments. So I finished 2, and again, probably won't be wearing these until maybe October, and probably just to the bus stop. You know, and I did an afterthought heel. So I used the Kirby Werby tutorial on YouTube. Really easy and simple to follow. I just make sure I mark the heel as I'm knitting so I don't have to guess how far in, like where I have to start my afterthought heel. So that would be my one suggestion for those. So a sweater, a pair of socks, and remember how I said that blanket was going to be a marathon and not a sprint? Well, I really wanted to get it done. So I finished my mother-in-law's blanket, and it is heavy and huge. I don't really want to unfold all of it. Ugh, that's half the length of it. It covers me from my shoulders to my toes, and my mother-in-law's a little bit shorter than I am, so it should be perfect for her. And it covers, I think it's like about 50 inches wide. No, 40, 41 inches wide. So this is some Lion Brand Heartland. That's super bulky, and I don't like this color very much, but I didn't pick it. So, and I just did a checkerboard pattern, so knitting, and then stockinette stitch and garter stitch with garter stitch borders on all of the sides on size 11 needles. It takes like so much, I don't want to say strength, it makes me sound kind of like a wuss, like this one was really hard to knit because it was so heavy, but it really wasn't that bad. I'm just glad it's done because it wasn't something that I really enjoyed working on, but it's done. Now I just have to figure out how to get it to her, how to mail it properly. So I worked on those projects a lot for the last 3 weeks, and I started a couple new ones. So one finished object that I have that's going to kind of go into a work in progress project is I made a bag. I just made a little tote bag. This is a wrap scrap from Didymos Fibers. Well, not Fibers, Didymos Fabrics. It's a baby wearing company in Germany. They sell baby wraps. And when we were living in Germany, I visited the store because it was only about 2 hours from where I lived. And you could buy wrap scraps, like these chunks of fabric, for relatively inexpensive set. So I think I got about 4 or 5 wrap scraps. And one of these was this gecko's print. And on the opposite side, it's brown with green geckos, but I just wanted the green to show. And then I just used this kind of yellowy, not quite as thick as canvas fabric that I think I found in the remnant bin at Joann as well. And I made a bag to put my project in. And the project that is holding is a cardigan that I designed myself. It is nothing fancy, it's just stockinette stitch, but I mentioned on the last podcast that we as in the El Paso Knitting Guild, we were having some workshops with the Knitting Fairy, Alyssa Barton, she lives up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and she came and she taught us intarsia. From the intarsia class, I found that I don't like it, so I probably will not choose projects that include intarsia, and a design your own top-down raglan cardigan. So it's all bunched up on the needles, but I've gotten to the point where I've split for the sleeves, and I was gonna knit a couple more rounds or rows before I try it on. The way her design goes is you have to figure out your math, you have to do your gauge swatch, which mine's up here, it's flipped, so I'm starting with this light blue and then fading into the dark blue. Now it's not gonna sit up on the bottom. So it's been quite interesting. A lot of math involved, which I enjoy doing, and I had been doing on patterns before for gauge, and figuring out fit and what kind of button band I want to do, if I want to do buttonholes or if I want to do a garter stitch, if I have enough to do a shawl collar, a lot of little things like that. So I'm doing this to fit like the 41 inch bust. So I have a little bit of negative ease, and I'm just doing a straight V-neck. So I know that if the V-neck meets below my bust, this doesn't have to pull together. So I don't need enough stitches to cover around the entire circumference of my body. So I'm hoping it'll work out. We'll find out maybe when I try it on, maybe later today or tomorrow when I get some more rows done. And the yarn I'm using is, the light blue is some Fibra Natura Lima. It's a 100% superwash wool. On Ravelry, it just lists it as wool. It doesn't have it as superwash. So, but my swatch turned out fine when I did it, and I'm using the navy blue is just some wool of the Andes, regular wool in Delft heather, so it's kind of like a heathered navy. So it's not super dark navy. It's got a little bit of light in there. And I'm going to stripe that into the body. I haven't quite figured out which one I want, but I kind of did like a little drawing here, because I have to do 2 rows because I don't want a whole bunch of ends to weave in. So I can either do 3, so do 2 and 4, 4 and 4, and then 2, 4, 6, 6 and 1. Sorry, this is 1 and 6. Or I can do 1 and 2, 4, 8, 4 and 6. So basically this would just kind of give me a couple more stripes before switching to the blue. I'm leaning towards this one here, but I have to make sure I don't run out of yarn. So I have to, after I knit 2 rows, I need to weigh before and after to figure out how much I'm using, to make sure I don't stripe too early or I don't stripe too late. It's a little nerve-wracking, to be honest, because I don't have any extra of this yarn, and I have like 1,500 yards-ish, and that's like just enough to knit a cardigan my size. So wish me luck on that one. Okay, my other work in progress is the brioche cowl I showed last time. I won't talk a whole lot about it because I'm still just going around and around, barking and burping. Just been working on it during baseball practice, and sometimes I work with the kids, or I work with my kids on batting and throwing and stuff. So I've gotten a little bit farther, well actually a lot of bit farther, because there's the marker of where I was last time. So maybe I've done about double of what I've done, a little less. But my yarns I'm using are some Noro. This is the ball. It's a very thick, thin, single ply yarn that changes color gradually throughout the skein. It's not quite striping. It's kind of like a striping gradient. And then this is a Premier yarn from Joanne, just the plain box store yarn. I think I talked about this last time. This is supposed to be navy, but it looks very like charcoal gray to me. Whatever. So this is the outside. You can see the color changes here, and then flip it around on the other side, and that's the other side. So you've got like the reddish coppery color to start with. It's not like unfolding all the way. Green, yellow, that pinkish color, then back to this one. I had a break in the yarn after this color, so I went back to that color again. So I think it's gonna start again for here because I see this green color down there. My husband won't care, or whoever wears it. It's really soft, it's really nice. I'm not a fan of knitting with Noro by itself, but I don't mind mixing it with other yarns. So just chugging along on that, and that's living in my little skein in the big wool coffee bag. It's just easy because then I can clip it onto my little carabiner that's on my purse and just bring it with me to practice. Easy peasy. The next one is, I showed a Project Linus blanket that I finished on the last episode, and I started a new one. I went to go start it, and I don't think I had podcasted with you guys yet, but we had watched a dog over the weekend. We have some neighbors around the corner that have a Boston Terrier as well that we've been at duty stations before. Our husbands work together, and we were watching their dog, and the dog decided to mark my bag. that had my Project Linus yarn in it. So I hadn't started the project yet, but I went to go start it and I was wondering why everything smelled like pee. And I look at my yarn, there's like little yellow spots on it, and there's a definite yellow mark on my bag. So I tossed all the yarn into like garment bags. I didn't even unwind it. I unwound one before I realized what it was, and I washed that in the tub, and I ran it through the washer, and I dried it. Everything's good, everything's fine. And I will wash it again before I donate it. But I'm just doing a plain corner to corner blanket with Red Heart yarn. That's what the organization buys because it's the cheapest. So we're just trying to get the most bang for our buck. And I picked out 4 skeins, 2 solid colors, and 1 variegated color is 2 skeins. And so this is what I have so far. This is a navy. There we go. That's a lot better color. And then the variegated is what I've started here. And I'm just using a J hook. So a nice big chunky hook so it's not too tight. And then here's what that one looks like. I decided to cake these up just because they're easier to pull from than, because if I start pulling from the center on Red Heart, if I don't do these, then they fall apart and then I get tangles and I get messes. It's just a lot easier to do this with them. Granted, my Knit Picks winder only can take so much before it's too much, but I can fit just enough of the variegated skeins because they're smaller than the solids, and it works. So hopefully I'm gonna have this done by the next meeting. If you hear that thumping sound, it's because Oliver's like kicking his feet on the floor in his bedroom. So this will be pretty big by the time it's done. I'm at the point where like the rows are really long. I think I call these little blocks when you have the different sets. I think I'm like at 34 or something. I probably need to be at 43 before I can start decreasing to meet the minimum. So those are just fun, easy to work on. Blankets aren't the best for the summer here in El Paso, but if you're inside in air conditioning, it's not a huge deal. It's definitely not something I would pick up and like take to the splash pad or anything like that. So, okay, last work in progress is my Cookie A monkey socks, and there's not a lot of progress because I was trying to finish blankets and other things, and so I only just cast these on the other day. This is a lace pattern that is free on knitty.com. It's fairly simple to do, so I've only done 1 lace repeat so far. And I figured out the math. I probably need to do 10 lace repeats on each sock, plus the heel and the cuff. So I need to get going if I'm gonna try to finish these in May. They're really simple. I'm doing this on Knit Picks Felici size and US size 0 needles. And I did order a pair of needles from Handsome Fibers, and I got a pair of defective Chiaogus. They did refund me, but if you look really close, let's see if it'll, you can't see it on camera. One needle is like significantly sharper than the other. I can't figure out how to do this. No, it's not gonna show. But one, it's like the tip wasn't finished properly, so it's super duper sharp, and the other tip looks fine. So I just decided to get a refund because I kind of realized I didn't need them, but I just kept them. I was hoping I could show you. Maybe I can get a better picture and post it instead of trying to focus it on the camera. So, Knit Picks Felici, Cookie A's monkey socks. Free pattern on Ravelry. There have been ones that I've been wanting to try for a really long time and just haven't done it. And it's in another bag that I made from another Didymos wrap scrap. This is Didymos Eva, or Ava, EVA. It's just a striped wrap. Again, it was from one of the scrap packs that I got from the store, and I made a little bag. One thing I wish I had done differently, I wish I had put this a little farther up so it'd be closer, but you know, you live and you learn. It's not a huge deal because then I can still put it on my wrist and I can still knit from it. But it's perfect for if I'm working on 2 socks or a small shawl. It's the perfect size for that. So, do I have any other... Oh, I did forget. I got this really cool coloring book 2 weeks, and this was, I got it the day that I last recorded. And my kids are loving it. Because I like the adult coloring, but sometimes it's hard to pick colors. This one is a color by numbers. So you just have to match up. This is kind of like a preview of what they have in here. So they're all animals, and they're all kind of like very like psychedelic, but it's really fun. And I, of course, I don't know if I did the llama or alpaca. They look so similar. I called it a llama, but now I'm worried it's an alpaca. And I did it with markers. I did it with the Crayola Pipsqueaks. So they're not even fancy markers, but the Pipsqueak like big pack comes with lots of different shades. And a lot of these pictures require like 4 different purples or 3 different greens. So even though they're not big differences, they're just enough to see in the picture. But my Levi really likes coloring with them just because he doesn't have to pick the colors. He just has to go by the numbers and then find ones that match. So each page, if I can show you, like on the bunny rabbit here, you get your key here, and then all we do is we just take our markers and we match them up, and then we make a little key on a separate sheet of paper and then just color in the numbers. It takes a couple of days. I think it took me a good 3 or 4 days to color mine in because the Pipsqueak markers are really short. So coloring with them is really kind of awkward, but it's fun. I don't have to think. So it's not going to replace my knitting time, but it's kind of nice to do at the dinner table if the kids are taking a particularly long time to eat, which, you know, happens way more often than not. So if you want it, Joann, I did see a copy at Joann by the checkout in mine where they kind of have like all the soaps and the candies and the random magazine publications. They did have one of these, so if you have a 40% off coupon, it's cheaper than what you would buy on Amazon. I got mine on Amazon just because I was looking for color by number books for the kids, trying to find some things to do over the summer that won't require being outside. Because if it's already 101 by middle of May, I'm a little worried about what it's going to be like in June, July, and August. Okay. Whew. While the Knitting Fairy was here, she also brought 3 trunk shows of various indie dyers. She did unfortunately close her shop in the Fort Worth area, but she still had all these connections. So she had these huge IKEA bags filled with yarn. And for... I have like a yarn mountain here, so I'm just going to put this on my lap. And I did get a Knit Picks order as well, but my Knitting Fairy yarn is at the bottom, unfortunately. So, and I wanted to talk about that first. So the workshops were really great. On Saturday we did Intarsia. I'm not a fan. It's just not something I enjoy. It's very fiddly. I would rather do stranded color work than Intarsia because I don't like the bobbins and the little butterflies that we had to make. So hard pass, probably won't be doing Intarsia. Sorry if there are people out there that really enjoy it, but it's not for me. But for one, we got like a little goodie bag, and we got this little 50-gram skein of Apogee yarn. It's 100% wool and like a sport weight. I have no clue what I'm gonna do with it. Although I think when I put it on Ravelry, Ravelry has it as a fingering weight, but the label has it labeled as sport weight. And it's in chicory blue, which is like this pretty periwinkle blue. Pretty. And then we had door prizes or like raffles that we were doing, and I won a raffle and I picked out this Knit Pick stroll skein, and it is in Red Wing Blackbird. So it's black with pinks and oranges. And then Susan, a very generous lady that is in the guild, she got this stroll fingering in Big Top, and she knows I like to make socks, and she let me have this skein of yarn. This one is so fun. I would be very interested to see. I really like the stroll hand painted just to see how they knit up. I don't know if I want to make socks out of this or like a cowl maybe with some striping of colors that match. So these three I won either in a raffle or they were in my gift bag. In fact, like that one looks kind of good with this one. A little bit. I'd have to look a little bit closer. So I got these three. And then one of the indie dyers that she brought along with her was Saffroni Skeins. You can look them up on Instagram. This is the Ley Lines, which is the fingering weight. It's 75/25 superwash nylon, 437 yards for 100 grams. And I got these three, not necessarily to use together. Man, I thought I had that one facing the right way. And incorrect. So I got this one, the purple one in the middle, because it reminds me of Birthday Cake by Hedgehog. And then this one was fun because it was just like an orange tonal. It was a little bit outside of my comfort zone, so I decided to pick it up. And it's called Me Carrots. This one is called Major General Toot Toot. I don't know if that's a Zootopia reference or not, but I'm a sucker for purple, as you guys already know. And then this one I got is Frizzle's Liz, which I think it's supposed to be Liz from Magic School Bus, because Miss Frizzle has a lizard named Liz, and Liz is very much these colors. This was a much more neon version of it. There was another one that was more of like a foresty green. So I don't know if this one was like the accident colorway or if the other one was, but I like this one a lot better. Very speckly. Levi really likes it. So I totally broke my yarn diet to buy those things just because I wanted like a memory of taking the class. But I don't know what I'm gonna make with them. And then I had a friend commission me to make her a walk-along tee by Anka Strick. I had made it a couple weeks ago and I posted it on Instagram. Well, I posted it on both Instagram and Facebook, and my friend Victoria, who has worked with my husband in Germany, said she wanted one in like a tonal black version of it, because she said she had one when she was in college and one of her roommates put it in the wash and totally felted it. I'm assuming it was a wool sweater. So she asked me to do it and she said she was serious about it, and so she wanted me to order some yarn for her. And I went on to Ravelry and I was searching different colorways because I didn't want to buy like super expensive yarn, but I wanted to still buy nice yarn. So I was looking at Knit Picks, and Hawthorne was still having their sale, and they have a colorway. I'm gonna get like a yarn avalanche over here if I'm not careful. Whew. Hawthorne has a colorway called Blackbird. I have a lot of Blackbird colors. So it's a very like charcoaly gray, black tonal. And so she still hasn't gotten me her measurements, and she was supposed to get them to me today and she did not. But that's okay. It just means it's gonna take her longer to get her sweater. So I bought 4 skeins, which I think is more than enough. I really think I'm gonna probably have a full skein left over, unless she wants like a tunic length shirt, then I probably will have a full skein left over. And then I made the mistake of asking the kids if they wanted anything, and they both want sock head cowls and they both want coordinating hats to go with them for next year. So that, because I was just making things this year and they would just pick what they liked and wear them, but I never really made them specifically anything just for Levi, just for Oliver. So I had them pick some stroll hand painted, because also at the end of the month of April, a lot of the wool yarns were on sale. So Oliver picked out Gumball. It's a very rainbow skein, and I was trying to find a stroll to match like this blue right here. And on the stroll website, it looked like a tealy blue, but basically like it's navy. Like you can kind of see in the light on this side, it's like that dark, like it's not quite navy, but it's got like that little bit of green in it. But he said it was fine, but I was like, this isn't quite the color I wanted. But it's a really pretty color in person. It's kind of hard to show online because there's a lot more green and blue in it. And then that's the same one. So I bought 2 of those just so I wouldn't run short on the hats, but I'll probably have plenty left over, and it'll be perfect for toes, heels, and cuffs for socks. So more hawthorn for my friend's sweater. I bought some DK weight swish for my next morning mist because I couldn't quite find a gray that went with the 2 skeins that I had before, so I bought some black to go with it. I was too worried the grays would be too warm, like too like brown instead of black. If you guys know color, then you know what I'm talking about. And then Levi picked out this skein, Sunset. He likes oranges and like these autumny colors, but I think his skin tone, like mine, let me fix my necklace, looks really good in these like lighter spring colors. But it's what he wanted, so this is what he picked for his cowl. And then I was kind of hoping he would pick red or something, but he picked pumpkin orange. So I think for his, I'm going to try to save some of this and kind of stripe it a little bit, like do the brim and then do a couple little stripes and then do the rest of the hat in the pumpkin for him. So that's what he picked. Because when you order, you have to get free shipping, right? Does everybody else do that? So I have quite the yarn mountain going over here, and I'm quite excited to cast on all of these projects, but I have to get some other things done. And like I have my yarn sitting and waiting here for my pavement. You can't see it, but my swatch is up here. So I really would like to cast that on. Even though I won't be able to wear it, it would still be nice to, I'll have like this nice big collection of sweaters by the time it gets cold again in November, 6 months from now. So if you were just here for the yarny content, that's all I have for today. I kept it under 40 minutes, so hooray for me. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you want to hear a little bit about what's going on in our lives, you're more than welcome to hang out. I don't have a whole lot to talk about, just a couple little things like what I'm doing today, and if you're interested in what happened with Levi's thumb, I can update you on that too. So if you were just here for yarny goodness and knitting, then thanks so much for stopping by, and I'll see you again next week. I'm so tongue-tied today, you guys. And if you're gonna hang around, grab a cup of coffee and a little bit of knitting, and I'll chat with you about all that stuff. Take another sip of my coffee before it gets ice. Well, it wouldn't get ice cold because it's already 80 degrees outside. So life. Today, if you saw on my Instagram, you saw in my spare time that I teach military families how to wear their babies, and I also give lactation advice. I do have a certification from Healthy Children to be a lactation consultant. It's not the fancy like IBCLC. I don't have the medical background, but I do have the basics of recognizing issues with breastfeeding, giving advice. I can't diagnose anything, but I can send them to somebody if I suspect if it's like X, Y, or Z. So I can still be helpful. I can't use it a whole lot here in El Paso because I don't speak Spanish, so I can't work at the WIC offices or anything like that, but I have been volunteering with the Fort Bliss New Parent Support and going to one play date a month where it's specifically I'm there for like breastfeeding questions. The group is getting fairly big now, so I'm hoping maybe I can start helping more, because I kind of just go and Oliver plays and I chat with the moms, but a lot of the moms have older kids that don't nurse anymore. But that's okay. There's a lot of new moms and a lot of pregnant moms came to the last play date, which is really cool. And today, I used to be a baby wearing instructor. I am so cool, you guys. I'm sure everybody wants to hang out with me with all my certifications. And I had started a baby wearing group when we were living in Germany, where we would try to do weekly meetups, and I would go to the large baby showers that the duty station was having, like the Kaiserslautern area. The VA here is doing a baby shower today, and I'm a representative for the Carrying On Project. If you Google it, you can find out more information, but it's basically a nonprofit organization that provides baby carriers to military families at various duty stations all around the nations. We have chapters wherever we have volunteers that are willing to do chapters. There are chapters there. The chapter here is still fairly small because I kind of feel like I've been barely treading water since we moved here. And now that I finally feel a little bit more grounded and life's not running me, I'm running my life, that I can start to do more play dates. We do lots of raffles and giveaways. It's a lot of outreach, helping out with families because of PTSD, and bonding with babies and everything like that. So today I have 55 slings that I'm going to distribute to various participants that are coming to the VA baby shower. So one reason why I'm recording so early is because I have to be there at 11 and I wanted to record today. I should have planned better, honestly. So I'm really excited to do that because I haven't done anything like that in like a year and a half, I think. So it'll be really exciting to go. Oliver's excited to go because he gets to be my little helper. He has his own little carrying on shirt that used to be Levi's, but now he has it. So we're gonna do that today at lunch. We've been very busy with baseball. I know I mentioned in the last episode that it turned from 3 days a week to 5 days a week. Levi has been scared to play ever since he hurt his thumb, but good news, a little TMI, but his nail came off the other day, and so now he's not nearly as scared about it. And we worked on batting yesterday while we were at Oliver's practice, and he was able to hit the ball a couple times, and he got really excited. So I think he just needed that little push to get over the fear, the ball's not going to kill you. It was a very unfortunate accident, but it's gonna happen in any sport you play. So hopefully he'll jump in and get more involved. So we're busy with baseball. I have my guild meeting tomorrow, and I was with my guild ladies all last weekend, which was really fun to get to do those workshops and put those things into practice and work on my cardigan and do all the math. If I show you the pages, I have my little notebook here of what I did. Everything, all my notes, math and gauge and figuring out increases, a lot of erasing, figuring out how I was going to do the colors. I had posted this on Instagram, which order of the colors I wanted, because I have about the same amount, a little bit more of the teal than the navy blue. So doing all that this week and getting errands done. It's just been very busy. This time of year from now until the end of the school year is really busy. Levi has an award ceremony next Friday that I have to, I'm going to go to. It's not I have to go to. I'm not making it sound like it's something I don't want to go to, because I do. But the parking situation at the school leaves a lot to be desired, because there's only maybe 10 parking spots, and it's for all of first grade. So I either have to get there early and wait around with Oliver for a while, or risk coming late or not late, but later, and having to walk to the school, because it's nestled within a neighborhood, so you would have to park on the street and walk to the school. But that's next Friday. And then Mother's Day is this weekend, so happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. I will be waking up at 6:30 in the morning to drive to the hospital to get an MRI on my foot at 8 a.m. And then I might just go out for breakfast by myself and knit and people watch, because that's kind of one of my favorite things to do, and I don't get to do it very often. And Levi has a game tomorrow, and then I'll leave and go straight to my guild meeting. And then the next 2 weeks, it's just baseball and school and getting ready for the end of the school year. It was Teacher Appreciation Week this week, and Levi's school does something where you bring something for the teacher every day. We didn't get that into it, so we sent 2 things this week on Tuesday and Thursday. And I always plan to do an end of the year gift for teachers just because they do so much work. I remember how difficult it was those first 3 years I was teaching. I'm eventually going to go back into the classroom either as a substitute teacher or as a full-time music teacher. I did just finish my last college course, and I just have to do a CPR class and send in my stuff, and I'll have my Virginia license renewed. We still don't know where we're moving next. John sent in for a couple requests, so he asked for Fort Lewis in Washington. So Carrie, if we get Fort Lewis, can we stop in Scappoose and visit? And Alaska, which again we would have to drive through Oregon. So Carrie, we just might visit you anyways, and if we can visit with the Naughty Nitwits too, that would be amazing. So Fort Lewis, Alaska, and that duty station is in Anchorage, so it's in southern Alaska. And then we asked for Fort Lee, which is in Petersburg, Virginia. So the HRC, which I forget what it stands for, comes back and tells you like what's available, if any of your options work or not. And then from there, if those options don't work, then they'll be like, well, these options are available for this time to move. So, and this is kind of one of our last moves where John can have that option. Kind of after our next move, it's going to be, you need to move here on this date, and they'll give you a piece of paper and you really don't have any say. So that's fun, right? That's okay. It's only 10 more years. It sounds like a really long time, but the last 10 years kind of flew by. And before we knew it, John was like, well, what? I should just finish. And then you get retirement pay with the military. So there's pros and cons to everything. So, but I think that's pretty much everything that's been going on with us. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm going to cut it off here and get to packing up all my stuff that I need to do for the VA baby shower and get Oliver settled and get some food and stuff so he can snack on things while we're there, since it's during usually the time that we eat lunch. And then we're going to go on about our normal Friday. It's going to be in the upper 90s probably for quite a while. So I hope everybody's staying cool or warm wherever you're living. I think my New Zealand watcher, it's heading into winter, so because it's the opposite on the southern hemisphere. So, but I hope you guys stay warm or cold, whichever one, and I hope you keep your needles moving or your hooks moving or whatever craft you decide to do, and I will see you guys hopefully in about 2 weeks. Bye!